0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Tap it in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Happy Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Welcome inside the Duck Insider Studio, the Country Financial Studio, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack walked into here about 15, 20 seconds ago, and you were giddy. You had important breaking news.
I do. So
what is it?
Okay, so I thought this was super cool. So we've talked about this a little bit. Maybe you've seen it on GoDucks.com. But the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is Friday night for this latest Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame class. Well, also, because he wasn't able to make it to his 2020 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Nick Reed is going to be on site. Nick Reed, the former Duck, all-conference caliber guy, he also is in the Air Force. He's the one that coordinated the bomber flyover at the 2020 Rose Bowl, which was awesome.
It was awesome.
And I am happy to report that Nick Reed is going to do the flyover on Saturday. He is going to do the flyover on Saturday. It will be 2 T-38 Talon jets out of Whiteman Air Force Base, and Nick Reed is doing the flyover on Saturday at Autzen.
That'll be moments before kickoff.
That's right.
So get there early.
So Jerry and Jorgie, I'm telling you, every time there's a flyover, they jump so high in the broadcast booth, I'm always afraid they're going to fall. Like, they live for this. So, fans, it's going to be really cool. There's also going to be the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which includes the 2010 Oregon football team. They will be honored on the field during the game, I believe, first time out of the second quarter. So if you were thinking about coming to this game and you're like, I don't know, a top 25 matchup isn't enough for me, the 2010 football team being honored as a Hall of Fame inductee, that's pretty cool. That event is Friday night. Jerry and I are going to MC it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, seats are limited. Get on it if you don't have tickets.
That's my breaking news. I just thought that was so cool. I wanted to share it. Now, Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, right?
That's right. He just spoke to the media, and here's Coach Lanning right now.
Red area focus definitely been a big point of improvement for us on both sides of the ball. Got some good special teams work. Ready to go play a good opponent.
You mentioned special teams. Is Boyle going to be able to give it a go?
Yeah, he was able to practice today. I think we'll be able to utilize ourselves at full strength.
Couldn't ask you yet about how you thought Adam's done just thus far. Again, small sample, but
who's that?
Adam Barry.
Small sample, right? But so far has done a good job. I think Adam would tell you that he's got a lot of room still for improvement.
Small sample, good. I'll go off of Dan, but Chase Roberts really had a huge game for them this past game against a really good defense. A true freshman out there. What makes him a viable target and really good target for them?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think they're a team that they can play with the right hand or their left hand. If you take away the run, they're going to be able to throw the ball. If you take away the pass, they're going to be able to run the ball, and they do a good job playing off of that. Obviously, he's really talented. They do a good job of getting it to him.
How would you assess the way your team's gotten after the quarterback through 2 games?
It's twofold, right? We'd obviously love to be in the backfield a little bit more, but if the ball's getting out quick, you're not going to have 15 sacks. To me, it's about winning the game. So I'm not a stat counter, right? I don't care how many sacks we have. I care how many wins we have, right? Certain times you play teams that are going to allow you to get those. When the ball's put on the perimeter a little bit more, you're not going to get those opportunities. But what we can't do is missed sack opportunities when we have them. So if we have a guy wrapped up and we don't finish on him, that's on us, right? And there's a couple of those moments we've seen in the first 2 games.
Is BYU one of those teams you expect to get it out quickly, or is it a little bit of both?
Oh, we'll be prepared for both. They do take more shots downfield than a lot of teams. That being said, they're going to hold on to the ball a little bit more to do that. Now, how often they do that in this game, I don't know.
I feel like Flo and Sewell have progressed to 2 games this season, and just their importance this week against BYU's run game.
Yeah, really all of our linebackers have a big role in this game, and we want to see them go, have a lot of success. It changes the way you play as a linebacker based on how you're being attacked, and the way we've been attacked is out in the open field, meaning we got to make more open field tackles. So wherever the ball's at, that's where we want those guys at, right? And they can go make plays on it and certainly impact the game, them and the other 9 guys on the field.
You guys have worked a lot on open field tackling the last 2 weeks. How do you feel like your team has improved overall in that area?
Yeah, when you focus on something that's a weakness and try to make it a strength, I think you get better at it. We did a sideline tackle drill today that we struggled at times, but that's probably the toughest tackle in football, so we got to work it, and our guys embrace the work.
Coach, Christian Gonzalez has shown an ability to tackle in the open field. Do you see him coming in on blitz packages at all, or what his role?
Maybe. Just depends. He's a good cover corner. He's also good in the deep part of the field, so you can't do all 3 at the same play. So there'll be times that we could use Christian in the blitz game if the team, allows us to do that.
At the other cornerback spot, what have you made of Dante Inquez's and some of those other guys' plays so far?
Yeah, I think just in general in our entire defense, we're looking for opportunities to continue to improve. I thought this second game was better than the first one, but we saw stuff that we can get better at as a unit there in the secondary and in the front 7, every piece of us, not just at one corner spot, right? Christian Gonzalez has stuff that he can go get better at too. So every one of our guys has a plan for improvement. We've seen some of that growth from game 1 to game 2. We're going to face a really good opponent this week, so we're going to find out where we're at.
When their defense is schemed up to free up their linebackers, and not just one, really all 3, maybe even 4 of them at a time, is there a way to scheme around that? Because it's not just one guy. You're not just trying to, all right, well, avoid where that guy's at or scheme around him or block that one guy. They have, 3 or 4 guys who either tackle, a linebacker's had interceptions for 4 years in a row. They see to free them up a lot.
Yeah, they play a lot of vision break defense, right? So you're going to when you watch them play, you're going to see a lot of zone eyes where when the ball's thrown, you have guys swarm to the ball because they have vision of it. They're not necessarily a man-match team or a lot of man-to-man, and because of that, backers are going to swarm around the ball. They're going to be able to get interceptions, tip balls, get their hands on the balls. So we have to do a good job of protecting and finding those small windows in between the defenders.
Troy and Terrence done so far where, again, I realize it's a couple of games, but on 3rd down in particular, both turned them a lot, and not just this past week, even the week before. To be, when you're looking for a go-to guy potentially on 3rd down and in those tough spots, they've delivered for you.
Yeah, they've been available and present, and when we get certain looks, those are guys that are going to be able to get the ball. I think we'll have other ways to get the ball to some other people as well, but they've certainly done a good job of when it comes their way attacking it.
With the new, I guess not that new now, but the red shirt rules in 4 games, do you ever make definitive statements to your players about using it, or do you just in an ongoing dialogue throughout the year about what the plan might be?
Honestly, our plan is how can we best develop our players and how can we best win games, and I think that conversation continues to change throughout the year based on your health as a team, based on people's performance. To think that any of the guys that just got here for us are going to be the same players 10 games from now is a complete disservice to them and to our program from a development standpoint. So, I've been around programs a long time where a guy that wasn't necessarily involved game 1 was super involved game 10. Right, we had a guy, for us last year, William Poole, who didn't play hardly in any games the entire year and then started for us in the SEC championship and the national championship game. So to know where we're at now, to make decisions about redshirting, not redshirting based on today comparative to what's going on in November and December, I think is really premature.
Is Noah lining up on the weak side more than usual?
No, he's really, he travels different locations based on formation.
Stephen Jones going to be good this week, or?
We'll see.
How's Jackson looked in practice? You mentioned obviously he came back last week, but just how has he been with that top unit and get some more opportunities there?
Jackson LeDuc.
Powers Johnson.
JPJ, yeah, he's done a good job.
We had Bellotti at practice yesterday, and just the opportunity to pick his brain, a Hall of Fame coach, just thoughts on just him being able to.
Yeah, I've got a ton of respect for Coach Bellotti and the job that he's done here, as well as just his, his view. He has a different lens as a coach, that he's worn. So if he hasn't a thought, or if he's able to give, eyes, or if he just wants to get a football fix and come watch some ball, he's always welcome to our place.
Stan Lanning speaking with the media Wednesday leading up to The game with BYU, 12:30 on Saturday. See you there at a packed Autzen Stadium. We're going to get a break. We'll come back with the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley, joining us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio, brought to you as always by On Point Community Credit Union. Congrats to Alex. You don't have to keep it up there. Alex is
we're not on you anymore.
Yeah.
Bro.
Camera's off you. Get back to work. Congratulations to Tyler Anderson and Ryan Nelson. I feel like there's too much explaining to do to catch fans up on what just happened. But we're joined by the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley, ahead of a massive game against BYU. Rob, you're concerned about that, but you're also concerned about your flow.
A bucket hat.
Yeah.
Here. I've been trying to let it grow out a little bit.
Because
it drives the missus crazy primarily.
Because it's so short?
Because usually it's so short.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to let it grow out a little bit.
You got that silver fox
She doesn't
thing
like
going.
it longer. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Got that silver fox
but
thing
yeah,
going,
I was wearing
don't you think?
I was wearing a bucket hat, and now it's all over the place. So
You look great.
maybe she has a point. Don't
You look
tell
good.
her that, and don't run this.
I'm
Edit
sure-
that part out.
I'm
where I
sure
said
she watches
was right.
every single
Yes.
time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody watches every single episode, always. BYU on Saturday.
Yes.
Huge game. BYU coming off a huge win in double overtime. One thing that jumped off the screen to me in that game was, well, their home environment. It was maybe the best environment in college football so far this year. A challenge to Oregon fans to top that and give them a taste of their own medicine this weekend. What do you expect from Autzen Stadium this Saturday as a difference maker?
Well, one thing that I was pleasantly surprised to hear, because I know it's still going to be a couple weeks till school starts, but I've heard the student section is moving well.
They're doing okay,
which is great because I think it's the kids who set the tone. You know, the diehard fans that are coming back year after year after year. They're obviously like the foundation of everything that we do. But in terms of the atmosphere, you can't beat a good, raucous, rowdy student section to kind of help set the tone. So I was really encouraged to hear that, and I hope that was an indication of the environment that we'll get Saturday afternoon. I mean,
let's be honest. We've heard a lot of critiques about scheduling over the last few years. Too many night games, midweek games, things like that. This is right in the honey hole.
Oh, yeah.
12:30. Weather should be nice. Some of those critiques that we've heard don't apply to this one at all. So hopefully that means that some folks who maybe haven't been out do come out. Some folks who have been coming maybe can bring an extra body or two to help pack it, and we get a home field environment that provides an edge.
You know what else brings it from a 9 to a 10? Turnovers, big play touchdowns, explosive plays. Yep. Part of Dan Lanning's focus this week when he's talked to the media. Those big plays to get that crowd going.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's one thing offensively, I'm sure there's a ton that they feel like they could be doing even better. But people who, if anyone does really tune into this every day, they've probably heard me say ad nauseum that you hear from coaches in recent years just that explosive plays and turnovers are the biggest factors, most decisive analytical factors in outcomes, and so I think Dan Lanning wants to see, as he put it, he wants to see some of those 15-yard gains turned into 30-yard gains. If you look at play length across the conference, Oregon's doing great in like 10-yard gains, rushing and passing compared to the rest of the league. But when you start to get out to 20, 30, 40-yard, you don't see Oregon ranking as high. So creating some more, whether it's because you have better blocking downfield, whether a guy's reading the defense and making that extra cut that creates space for himself, whatever it takes to play into it. I think that's one place where this offense potentially could show even more.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, Bonick's understanding today when he spoke to the media, there's no need to force anything. And
for sure.
Last week he didn't. 40 first downs for the Ducks. Slow and methodical wins the race. It certainly won the race last week.
Yeah, there was one or two throws probably that were on the riskier side.
Fans want bombs. Sometimes it's okay to take 78 yards and move the chains.
Yeah, particularly in a situation like last week where, Eastern Washington was trying to pull off an upset, and if you're just trying to stay out of trouble in that situation as Oregon, you don't necessarily feel like probably you need to take too many risks in that regard. Again, it's explosive plays and turnovers. So if in order to try to create explosive plays, you're then putting yourself in position to turn it over, you're not only are you not accomplishing one goal, but you're helping the other team accomplish another key goal. So for sure, there's a balance to all that and a nuance to all that, and kind of what the perfect right formula is why Coach Lanning and those guys get paid the big bucks.
So offensively, we've talked about slow and steady. We've talked about explosive plays. I feel like on my part, my thoughts are a little bit widespread because we don't necessarily know what the offensive identity of this Oregon football team is quite yet. Maybe we find out this weekend. Maybe it's an advantage going into Saturday that, it's hard to scout the Ducks. Who are they offensively?
Yeah, I don't know, and I have talked to enough coaches who say, you do have to answer that so you have something that you take pride in and fall back on and feel like you can execute whenever you need to. On the other hand, as Coach Lanning said, talking about BYU today, they can play right-handed or they can play left-handed, and he said that out of respect for BYU's offense. Well, if BYU or whoever else thinks that about Oregon, that's great. You don't want necessarily people loading up feeling like they know what you're going to be doing. So, I wouldn't. For me personally, I wouldn't say that's something I get too wrapped up in.
Interesting. Physicality has been another word that has jumped off the page, both on Oregon's side and BYU's side. Both teams need to bring the pain on Saturday. That's going to be a difference maker in this football game.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this program, the Oregon program in the last few years, that was probably the word you heard the most. I think, with where this staff is with this group, say offensively, you want to be able to run it between the tackles and be physical on the offensive line. But I think as we see in college football, attacking the perimeter, everybody's doing that, getting guys out in space and making people cover the whole field horizontally. And so, again, you talk about having to do multiple things, you got to be prepared for a little bit of everything. So, but yeah, I mean, I think what BYU does at the line of scrimmage certainly stood out in that Baylor game, and I think Oregon on both sides of the ball has expressed a lot of respect for the physical nature that BYU plays with, and so yeah, there will be a challenge there to match that or even exceed it.
Important to create big plays on offense, but also to stop big plays. Coach Lanning said today that BYU takes their fair share of shots down the field, and that makes sense because their receiver room is among the best in the country. Last week it was a difference maker, and they didn't even have their Bolitnikov watch list receiver in Puka Nacua. We don't know if he's going to play on Saturday, but got to prevent those big plays too. Coach Lanning was even, eager to go watch the film after giving up just 14 points against Eastern Washington.
Yeah, well, I think one thing from Oregon's perspective, if you talk about a team that wants to take shots down the field, well, those plays can take some time to develop. If Oregon's had a little bit more success getting the ball to its athletes in space and letting them create big plays, even not as much success as they'd like, but that's how bigger plays so far have developed. If BYU's going to drop back and let guys get down the field before unloading the ball, I think Oregon's pass rushers will appreciate that because they've faced a couple offenses the last couple weeks. They've gotten the ball up pretty quick.
No doubt.
There have been some opportunities for sacks that weren't taken advantage of, but I'm sure those guys would like a few more. And if a team's going to drop back and take a bunch of shots down the field, you'd think common sense would tell you that might create some more opportunities to get to the quarterback. So I'm sure guys like DJ Johnson, Braden Swinson, Mace Funa would love the chance to get an extra second or two to try to get to the quarterback.
Among others, absolutely. Yeah. So 70-14 at home, a feel-good win. What can you take away from that game and feel absolutely certain about if you're a Duck fan?
Well, I think what you really like is the way the team regrouped after the Georgia game. I mean, obviously that was a kick in the teeth. And so some frustrations could linger. You might, worry. Did doubts start to set in? And does that affect your performance the next week? But I think it's pretty clear you could say that was not the case, that this program did a really good job of flushing that result, taking what you needed to from it in terms of making, constructive gains in some of the areas that might have been exposed or, stuff that didn't work and improving on it. Because that was, I think that was kind of a best case scenario for a matchup like we had last week in terms of the outcome. I mean, that's kind of what you want to see in the best case scenario when you've got teams from different levels of football matching up and you're at home and all that. So now BYU is probably the truest test in terms of, obviously Oregon had a tough matchup with Georgia in a tough environment. Eastern Washington had a tough matchup with Oregon in a tough environment.
Sure.
Hopefully it's a really tough environment for BYU, but just in terms of the way the teams match up, this might be the best kind of proving ground yet for just kind of where this Oregon team is at and how things are going to stack up over the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a big matchup. Maybe fans who don't follow this stuff closely like you do on a day-to-day basis look at BYU. They're not a conference, not a Power 5 team. This is a BYU group that's coming into Autzen Stadium higher ranked. They went 5-0 against the Pac-12 last season with wins over Utah and USC. I don't sense that anybody in the Oregon football program is taking this test lightly at all, not to mention that, Coach Bellatti's at practice yesterday. He knows firsthand what BYU can do against the Ducks. So there's none of that going on.
Are they talking in Provo about avenging 1990? Is that a narrative over there?
Yeah, probably.
Probably not.
No way.
But we'll have some fans in the stands who are at that game too. So
that's right.
That'll be fun.
That's what makes Oregon special. You have those generations of fans. So you look at this game. What's going to be the difference maker? What are some of your keys on Oregon's side?
Yeah, I think what we've talked about, maybe a few more explosive plays, and certainly don't turn it over. No doubt about it.
Yeah, those are big ones. Well, Rob Mosley is the editor of GoDucks.com. You've been so locked in on football. Have you gotten a chance to form some opinions on what's going on with volleyball and soccer so far? I know it's been hard to get out and watch them.
Well, I'm not really an opinion guy, but I did get to watch the 2 matches over this weekend.
Okay,
yeah,
and your takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we've talked about it about this team that there's so much talent and there's such a diversity of skill sets that kind of what a rotation's going to look like, what are lineups going to look like, things like that, and it seemed like watching from one match to the next, even just this weekend, things looked dramatically different at different times. So I think Matt Ulmer and that staff are really. They're still in the process of kind of learning about this group and learning what works absolutely best, because obviously when you get to conference play, it's such a tough league. You want to have some of that stuff answered. Yeah, but to be so competitive against a couple of really elite programs while you're still, from an outsider's point of view, it looks like kind of sorting through some things. You hope that would be a really encouraging point about kind of where things are headed and how you might match up with programs like that, say once you get to the postseason, and presumably some of those questions have started to answer about kind of what the primary looks are going to be.
Yeah, obviously you want to come out of those with a win, but at the very least, I feel like Oregon got better, learned a lot, and this will be a valuable experience going forward.
Yeah, you would hope so. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. He's the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. Always appreciate the time and the chance to pick your brain. Enjoy your Mountain Dew and get out of here. Get ready for Saturday.
Thank you, guys.
We'll take a break. We're coming back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Been a fun show so far. Talked with the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. We heard from Dan Lanning. Matt Ulmer is going to join us in about 10 minutes. I want, though, to sneak in a really good interview with one of Oregon's top corners, Christian Gonzalez. His first career interception last week. He had this to say at media this week.
Christian, just your first interception as a Duck, just what did you see on that play and what was the feeling afterwards?
Yeah, it was just reading my keys and then I seen the ball in the air and had to go get it. It felt amazing getting the first one.
What was it like playing in Knott's Stadium the first time as a Duck?
It was amazing. The atmosphere was great. I'm really excited for this week. All the home games I'm looking forward to. You can feel the crowd behind you.
What have you seen, or how have you guys been looking to attack, BYU's quarterback Jaron Hall this week at practice, and how have you guys been simulating that?
Yeah, he's a good quarterback, just like all the other teams we're going to face, and we're just worrying about playing us in practice, and we got to play. We got to work through what we want to do and help contain him and do what we got to do.
It seems like through the first 2 games of the year that teams haven't really been going at you specifically in a one-on-one matchup. Has that kind of annoyed you at any part that you can't go out there and play one-on-ones like that?
I mean, it is what it is, but when the time comes, I got to be there to make the play. So can't think about it like that, but just got to be locked in, because sometimes they'll try to do that and come at you later. So it's just always know you're locked in and they can come at you anytime.
You had a game-saving, touchdown-saving tackle against Georgia. Some other, good tackles last week. What's your methodology on tackling? Why have you become so good at it?
It's a mental thing. It's all want to. When you want to, you'll go make the play and just go do what you got to do.
Did you talk to the other teammates about tackling after you guys missed some tackles against Georgia?
Yeah, we all did. We all knew, but what we really say was understood and got to be explained. Really, we know what we had to do. We went in, looked at the film, watched it, and just went on and had a good week of practice.
Christian, how different is the defense going into week 3 versus going into week 1?
It's the defense. It is what we do. We just keep our foundation and just practice hard and do what we got to do.
It seems like the last 2 weeks you guys have been really working on tackling drills. To go back to the other tackling questions, just how much do you think that you've improved, and how much do you think that the team has improved overall in their tackling on the perimeter?
Yeah, it's been great. We've been having a good 2 weeks of practice. Everybody being physical, especially on the perimeter, something we had to work on. And it's like I was saying, it's all mental. We all knew we had to fix it, so we're just getting it better.
Christian, sorry it's a repeat, but just what have you seen from? I realize it's a really limited tape for Chase Roberts to step in and play really well last week, but he's a true freshman. What have you seen from him in particular?
You said who?
Their receiver had the 10 catches last week.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good receiver. All of them are good receivers. We face good receivers every week, and we just got to get in film study and study them and watch their tendencies and just be ready to play.
Dan obviously expects a lot of you guys. I mean, you can talk about 14 points, he sees areas where he could have kept points off the board. Just what's your guys' mentality in that regard?
Yeah, that's what we want to do. As a defense, you don't ever want to give up points, and that's what we pride ourselves on, is being physical, the most physical team, the most physical defense, and we just got to keep pushing to improve that.
You mentioned seeing tough receivers in practice every day. What's the toughest part about covering, Dante, Troy, all those guys, and how is that helping you going into this week?
It's great. It's competition. Iron sharpens iron. I get to go against the best receivers in the pack every day. So it's just like they get better, I get better, so we help each other.
Walk us through your first career interception.
It was amazing, and I was just got to thank God and thank him for letting me be there to make the play, and then it was a great feeling.
How often do you practice the over-the-shoulder interception grabs?
More than people think. Coach Meat does a good job of making sure we get catches that are in awkward positions, because you never know how you're going to get the ball.
How does your role change in dime, where it's an obvious 3rd and long passing situation? Before that kind of an obvious situation, are you looking to play more aggressive? Do you want to get close to the line, or do you want to play off because you can and they need to move the sticks?
Yeah.
And it's situational awareness.
Yeah, that's how it all is. That's every down of football. You got to know down and distance. You got to know what formation they're in, what plays you get out of that, and then it all comes from film study. When you study, you know what you're going to get, when you're going to get it, and then it's just on you in the moment to play what you go with your gut and just play what you know.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game going up against another ranked opponent. Do you feel like it's a opportunity to redeem yourself after what happened against Georgia?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's in the past. I'm not worried about that anymore. We all have good games, we all have bad games, and it's another week, and we're just blessed to be here to play the game.
What was it like this past week with Coach Demetrius Martin up in the box up there and Coach Ballard's on the field instead?
Yeah, that was a little weird for me because the past 2 years I played with him, he's always been on the field. But change happens and we just went along with it. So we kind of practiced it during practice and having the feel out there. But I was out there to help. I feel like take a little bit of control. Yeah.
Sorry it's a repeat, but just what have you seen from Jaron Hall? What makes him effective as a quarterback?
He's a great quarterback. He can do stuff with his legs. He can make any throw on the field. Great arm strength, and we just got to go out there. We got to go out there and play our game. Not really worry about all the lights and cameras and all the fans there. Just do what we know how to do, and we'll be good.
Take care of business. That's what Christian Gonzalez does. Do it quietly. Keep your head down and work. That's also how Christian Gonzalez does it. You know what? That's a guy who doesn't get targeted that frequently. Just keeps his head down and locks down opposing number one threats. He's going to be important this weekend against a BYU football team that is probably 3 deep with really good receivers. Coach Ulmer has entered the studio. We get to the head coach of Oregon Volleyball after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Thanks for spending Wednesday afternoon with us in the Country Financial Studio. Matt Ulmer is here with us, and you're in a shockingly good mood for somebody who's flown across the country. You're going to be flying across the country again tomorrow. I, for one, would be I'd be impossible to talk to. Really, I'd be so upset about. Maybe that's why I'm not a coach or a player. Maybe that's the reason.
I'm sorry, we're not starting with a handshake. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Here we go. There we go.
Yep.
There we go.
No
Come
mistakes
on.
this
Good?
time.
Okay, we better? Okay.
I just wanted
I'm sorry, what was your question?
I just wanted to
That's all I
compliment.
could think about the whole time.
Compliment your good vibes.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're bringing to the studio.
Well, travel
today.
went well. You know,
Good.
and I thought we had a good trip, and we're excited to go compete again.
So you go to Minnesota. Do you enjoy any of their famous delicacies over there in Minnesota?
What are those? If
Do
you're having to look it
any,
up.
Get any Swedish meatballs while you're there?
Is that
Wild
what-
rice?
Is that what?
Polish sausage? You're telling me you went to Minnesota and didn't get any Polish sausage? What are you, crazy?
I don't know why we didn't have those.
So I go to Minnesota
things.
about 8 to 9 times a year.
Yeah, I figured you did.
And every single time
That's what you get?
I get Polish sausage. I think it's a given. That's what everybody
It's pretty
gets
obvious,
there.
isn't it?
Well, you're going to Florida.
We went to Mall of America.
Okay.
How's that?
That's plenty.
Some people might have had Polish sausage at the food court from Mall of America. I don't know.
Maybe they did. Hey,
I'll have to ask the team, and I'll tell you. That's right. Is that really what they're known for? You're just
according to the top result on Google.com. Yeah, I've never been to Minnesota.
You know, we did
family from Minnesota actually, but I've never been. Yeah.
You've never been, except for the 8 to 9 times
well,
a year.
When I say family from Minnesota, I mean my grandfather lived there for a period of time, and then moved away.
Did you know he lied so much? Oh,
I'm
you knew
quite
about
dishonest.
this. I didn't. Okay. I'm
Quite
learning a lot about you right now.
Yeah.
It only took a couple interviews, but now the truth, you're coming out now.
Yeah. Hey, you're drinking from a fire hose today,
Got
as
it.
Coach Lanning likes to say.
Coming in hot.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So you go to Florida.
I should have stretched before this.
You look like you're stretched out.
Okay. I don't even know what that means, but thank you.
I don't know.
Okay.
On the court, how was the trip?
Yeah.
What were some of your takeaways for the team?
I thought, I asked the team to go get in a fight. And I felt like, a bit, we had talked about this last week, like we need to go be in an environment that was hostile. We needed to figure out how to compete, at our highest level in that environment. And I thought we competed really hard. I thought we played well enough to win, and we didn't. We went 0-2. But we were up against Minnesota in the second and fourth set and the third, sizably, and we didn't hold on in 2 of those 3. And so hopefully, we can learn some things about how to execute better and just, be a little bit more consistent. But, we put ourselves in a position to be successful there. And then against Penn State, we're in the 5th set. And I thought Penn State and Minnesota were both really good. And I think they're both top 10 teams. And I think, we're right there and we had our chances. And I hope and I think we learned a lot from this past weekend.
So several follow-ups for me. I want to start with this one. You're measuring yourself in a way against a program like Minnesota right now. Now, there's a blend of youth on this team that's playing a lot, experience on this team. So valuable, and I'm sure particularly valuable for those youngsters who haven't necessarily seen a program of that caliber quite yet in their career, to see that and understand that's the bar, that's where we're going later this year. What were the takeaways for those young players playing in a match of this caliber for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we need to go play in these matches, right? It's because they need to see that. So what were their takeaways? I would say a bit of a reality check, of as far as like what it's going to take to score or block or pass, just compete at that level, like that level of the level of execution that's going to be required in order to be successful. And we were probably, we were in and out of that, I would say, as a group. But that was a steep learning curve, I feel like, getting in that environment. And I don't know how well we handled it. I think, emotionally we didn't like it. We didn't like not scoring as easily as we had. But hopefully that's something that you get a taste for wanting to be great. And so then it just drives you to come back and practice to make sure that your skills are so sharp or your connection is so sharp that next time you get in that match, you can be more successful.
I get the feeling from you as a coach, you can go to that rah-rah point where you can fire your team up. But for this group, I feel like you don't even have to get to this point. They want to improve so badly. Coming out of an 0-2 weekend where there were chances in both matches to get a win, what were the players like out of that match? Were they eager to watch the film and get better from an experience like that?
I mean, we all hate losing, right? I mean, no one wants to lose. But it is a long season, and there's so much, the goals that we have, that the team has of Pac-12 and national it's like those goals are very much intact. And I think if you can learn from your experience and it can push you to grow, then you're really springboarding into where you want to go. And I think some people have handled it that way, and others, are, maybe a little more in their feelings. And so as a group, we need to really respond with, this is an exciting time, and look how much better we can get and we will get if we have a growth mindset and continue to grow. But you're close. So now, how many more points can you earn here in this next week before we go to Miami?
For fans who watched that Minnesota match, and I was lucky enough to watch a part of that match.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Well, I wouldn't miss that.
It's hard to know, though, now if he's telling the truth. Because he really set a precedent of.
Here's proof.
Have you ever heard of The Boy Who Cried Wolf? It's a story I've shared with my son, who's 8. Would you like? Do you know it?
I don't know if
Are you familiar?
I don't know if I'm mature enough to hear that story.
I
It's for an
actually
8-year-old.
believe that. The wolf likes Polish sausage. It's a delicacy from Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Here's my proof.
Yes.
Grit.
Yes.
The ability to fight back. That jumped off the screen for me. What'd you see in those areas against Minnesota, focusing in on that match?
Yeah, I think the best teams are the ones that, they never back down. They always just keep coming. And I think we have some of that, and that's really exciting. And I told the group, I don't know if we've really had that since, 2018, that team.
And that's what it took back in 2018,
yeah, I mean, you
right?
had to. I mean, everything is against you, and you just have to keep fighting. It doesn't mean it's easy, and so nothing about this weekend was ever easy. But we just kept fighting, and we always had a chance. I think in every set we had a chance to win, and now you have to learn how to actually finish the job. But I think there's some things that it's really hard to teach, and only experience gives you. And so I feel like this group has a lot of experience, and I hope it's shaped us to be able to be a team that never backs down and always just keeps coming.
Did you, as a coach and as a coaching staff, rely on some of those veterans like Brooke Nuneviller and Carson Bacon, who have been there, done that in environments like this one, and really specifically who have been to Minnesota and done it there? Did you rely on those players to be leaders this weekend, and how do you think they did that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you try to prepare your team and say, here's what you can expect. And I think they did a good job of also giving their experience and recognizing, like, yes, this is going to be tough, and here's the environment, so we need to come out and be focused in a certain way. So I think they did a great job of that. And then, when things were tough or tight, like, I thought Brooks would step up, or different people would step up and answer that call, or maybe score that point for us, or make that serve, or make that dig. And I think that really steadies the ship. I think there was a lot of great leadership moments there. So hopefully, again, we can continue to build upon that moving forward.
I'm hearing a lot from you about digging deep and being gritty and resilient and all that. And that was tested this weekend. It's going to be tested even more. Going on the road back-to-back weekends, that's a great rep where you felt that. You felt that last weekend in Minnesota. You're about to feel that again going to Florida. Is that valuable, that this team is going to have to dig so deep? Classes are about to begin. You're asking a lot out of your student athletes, I feel.
Yep. Again, what I asked the group before the Minnesota match on Friday was go get in a fight, and when you get punched, just get back up and keep punching. And we just need to really have that mindset of next point, and we're going to be in it. And then I thought we did that well, even though we didn't win. I thought the mindset was great. And then for the Penn State match, it was, okay, now this needs to become the habit. Right, this needs to become the standard. This is what we do. And again, I thought overall we did a really nice job with that. And so now here you go again. And the schedule was scheduled for this. It wasn't scheduled to be easy. It was scheduled to actually really push us so that, hey, we had to go to Minnesota. We have to come back and now turn around and go back to the East Coast, different, 3 time zones away, and go play 2 tournament teams, one in a hostile environment that is really hard to beat there. And how are we going to respond? And so I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see, how we handle the adversity, how we handle, the failure in our mind of losing twice, and now going to have to go do this and turn around, and no excuses. It's like this was the whole point. And again, if you want to win in volleyball at the end, like, you're probably going to have to do a Central Time Zone and an Eastern Time Zone back-to-back weekend against tournament teams. Like, that's kind of how it's set up for us, unless we're able to be a top 4 seed. So, how are we going to handle that? This is a good test.
The sprint is here, finishing up non-conference play with South Carolina and Miami. Then come back, and here we go, Pac-12 play.
Yep.
He's Matt Ulmer. Always enjoy the time with you here on Duck Insider. Really appreciate it. And I'm not going to forget this.
Did he mean that?
I don't know. Probably lying. But we got to do this handshake anyway.
Probably lying.
Probably.
I felt like
you never know.
You were probably lying. So that was an honest thing you said. We're on to something.
Some progress, right?
Progress.
We're going to hear from DJ Johnson. Got a sack last week for Oregon football. He previews BYU after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Where's Joey?
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider inside the Country Financial Studio, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. We heard from Christian Gonzalez, who had a big game against Eastern Washington earlier in the show. Well, DJ Johnson was another standout performer on the defensive side last week, getting into the backfield and converting on a sack. He spoke to the media earlier this week. Here's DJ Johnson.
How much did you actually go up against Kingsley in practice? Because you were back and forth, and he went here that
I mean, a good amount. I mean, I was here when he was here, so, we all went back and forth and stuff, had a good time. He was back in there.
Who got the better of it?
I mean, you know practices,
But you're the older guy. I mean,
yeah,
he was
a
true freshman.
When you're the older guy, you usually got the upper hand more times than not. Yeah.
What's it going to be like to see him again?
It's going to be good. Me and him actually had a pretty good relationship, so it'll be good to see him again.
Have you done that before? Faced a teammate at another place that close?
I haven't necessarily faced a teammate, but I faced my brother, and I also have faced an old opponent, if that makes sense. I played Wisconsin 2017, and I played him again in 2019. I've just done stuff like that, but not necessarily a teammate.
How has he grown from when he was here? Because obviously he looks like he's playing a lot for them.
Yeah, he definitely has matured, so it's good to see him growing.
Their offensive line's pretty good, DJ, but at the same time, they got shut down in the run game last week by Baylor. What did you see in terms of how Baylor was able to do that?
I mean, we'll continue to watch film as a team, and we'll come up with a good defensive plan. Taz, is a great mastermind, and we'll come as a team and play good football.
As a guy who helps defend the perimeter, just how would you quantify the growth from week 1 to week 2 for you guys?
I mean, when you find out, you got a hole, you got to, patch it up. So I feel like that's something we attacked in practice, and it showed up on Saturday.
What stands out to you about watching Jaren Hall on tape so far? Their quarterback, Jaren Hall, what stands out to you about watching him on tape so far?
I mean, he's a twitchy dude. Does he can run? He can throw the ball. He can make any pass. So it'll definitely be a nice challenge for us.
As a pass rusher and a guy who is so athletic like Hall, you kind of go into the game maybe a little bit more of a challenge in terms of it's going to be tough to keep him in the pocket because he did have some big plays against Baylor getting out there.
Yeah, those going to be a little bit more fun just because you know that beating a tackle is not the end. You got to get him on the ground, and he's shown that, he's not the easiest guy to get on the ground.
Frustrating to have to play contained sometimes?
Yeah, for sure. They definitely make you scratch your head a little more times than you want to, but it's going to be fun, though.
Do you feel like your experience against a mobile guy like Stetson Bennett can kind of help you guys prepare, help you guys be in the right mindset for going against him?
I mean, honestly, we go against Bo Nix every day in practice, so, I mean, he's a mobile guy. I feel like, you got Todd Thompson's a mobile guy, you know what I mean? So we've been going against mobile guys. Every week it seems like we go against some mobile guys. So I feel like just the more we go against them, I feel like the better we'll be against them each time.
For as long as you've been here, DJ, this is actually one of the bigger home games you've played in. Actually, the biggest you played in, because you were here in 18, but you didn't have a chance to play Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, the top 25 opponent coming here since then.
Yeah.
What's this feel like to have? I know you played Georgia a couple weeks ago, but that was down there. Here, it's your house and should be a packed crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing in Austin in general, but I mean, I take every game the same. I try not to treat them too differently, and honestly, I try not to treat them two different practices. Prepare and go next week.
Coach Lanning said that though there was some improvement, you guys did have 14 points on the board allowed that he would like to have back. What does it say about kind of the mentality there to, improve but also not be satisfied either?
I feel like definitely the reflection of the players. That's how we feel about it. As a defense, goal is to shut people out. So anytime they score points, that means there's something I can improve on.
You've played a couple teams that got the ball out pretty quick. Do you feel like you have a sense of how good of a pass rushing team you guys can be yet?
It'll be good to go against a team that, holds the ball a little longer just so we could kind of, really be able to have a chance to pass rush a little bit better.
When you guys did get home last week, it was in that dime package on those third downs. I think that's all from the sacks and Casey's TFL team. You got the sack on that. So what is about this formation compared to what the Rooter was running with you guys? Because you were in dime last year too. But what is different about Tosh and Dan's version of dime?
I mean, right now, just the main thing I like is just the attack from our defense. Like even on that sack, I feel like it was a team sack because Mason one chased him out and I was able to get to him. So I feel like the way we just playing together has just been phenomenal. I feel like it's going to produce a lot of sacks for us overall.
You mentioned Mace. He was a guy who wasn't in dime last year. Trevin wasn't in dime last year. It was different personnel. Obviously, KT was here too, but different personnel. The guys who weren't used in that package last year now in a pass rush situation.
Right.
What did Mace and Trevin brought to it to be capable of being in there in a passing down situation?
I mean, they've made great strides. Trev's probably one of the most improved players I've seen. Mace also, I mean, he lost a bunch of weight. He's definitely quicker. His twitch is great. He got one of the best get-ups I've seen. He's getting way better with his hands. So him and Trev are great additions to our pass rush. And I feel like that's going to keep showing along the season.
Good to hear from DJ Johnson there. One of the impactful defensive players for Coach Lanning and the Ducks. 12:30 Saturday. You heard it from Rob Mosley today. Get out there, get loud on Saturday at Autzen Stadium. There's no excuses this weekend. Student section, it's got to be well oiled. Got to show BYU what type of environment Autzen Stadium can be. They're coming from a great environment, so let's top that one. Good show today. Tomorrow's going to be a fun one, too. We got Greg Wrubell from BYU. He's the voice of football. He's going to join us on the show. We're going to learn a little bit about BYU and X's and O's and the history of that program. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Scott. Mitchell Lee back in studio. We're back tomorrow. Go Ducks.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous, as in